Hey, everybody, this is Angela, and you're listening to Five Picks and a Chick featuring El Gato. This is a show that gives you 5 NFL picks for people who love football and friendly wagering. Today, we are joined by our special guests, Mr. Parlay and Rudy. Hey, guys, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
El Gato, last week I went 1-4. My record is 54 wins, 41 losses. My percentage is 57. Your record is 53 wins, 41 losses, and 1 push, and you're at 56%. So being that was through wild card weekend, I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, there were some close games. There were some and other lopsided wins as well. But I mean, overall, our record is above the 500 mark. We're picking good games. We've had some off weeks throughout the season, but now we're in the playoffs. Things get tight. We've got some larger point spreads in this round here, some high over and unders. I'm looking forward to finding out how our guest pickers, including yourself, view these matchups coming up. So it's going to be a good football weekend, both Saturday and Sunday.
The first game on Saturday is going to be Texans at the Chiefs. Texans are getting 9 points. I'm going with the Texans in this game. The Chiefs are coming off 3 weeks of not having played their starters, so I'm thinking they might be a little bit rusty. These two teams played the week before Christmas, and the spread was 3.5. That's Chiefs minus 3.5. I think 9 is too much on this game, so I really think the Texans are going to keep it close, so I am going with the Texans. What are your thoughts on this game, Rudy?
I think I do have to go with the Texans also. I think the Chiefs are probably going to win regardless. I think they're probably going to throttle back a little bit. I feel like they're going to score probably upwards of 20 points in the first half, but I feel like they're going to throttle back in the second half just so they're not showing too much going into the next round. I want the Texans to win, but that point spread is way too high.
Yeah, I'm with you there on wanting the Texans to win. What are your thoughts on this game, El Gato?
On this game, the Texans are coming off, a very decisive win over the Chargers. I mean, they completely dismantled them. The Chargers and Herbert, didn't play the way they had been playing the entire year. Herbert with, untimely interceptions. I think he had 4 or 5, maybe that game. That was the difference in the game, I thought. And the Texans really, they came in hobbling towards the end of the year, but they really played. The coach had them ready to play that game. Of course, Kansas City, to your point, Angela, they've been kind of resting their guys the last couple of weeks. They had that division, all tied up 5-6 weeks ago. Is it the Kansas City Chiefs we're accustomed to seeing in the playoffs and dominating the season? I don't know about that. Mahomes, of course, is going to be Mahomes. He's going to, create plays in the passing game, make unexpected third down conversions like he always manages to do. But this is a different, KC team. They're not as dominant as they have been. I'm going to take the Texans at +9. The only way I think the Texans don't cover is that if they completely go back to what they were not doing well, and that is executing, playing football and scoring the third downs and scoring when they get in the red zone, which they did a lot of or didn't do a lot of towards the end of the season. But if they come out ready to play like they did against the Chargers, this is going to be I'm thinking a fourth quarter game. The last couple of possessions will win it. So I'm going to take the Texans at +9.
What are your thoughts on this game, Mr. Parlay?
Taking the Texans money line. I'm a little bit biased on this because I bet on the Texans preseason to win the Super Bowl. So I'm going Texans money line. They're playing in 23-degree weather. I think that defense of Houston is going to do what they need to do. We just need the offense on the Texans to come through. Defense, I think, will handle their own. Offense needs to come through.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that. I think Stroud needs to just to come out and just play free, not play tight like he did towards the latter part of the year, and maybe just play like he did during his rookie season when he was just making all his throws, hitting his checkdowns. To your point, Alex, that could be the difference. If he comes out and plays and they play complementary football, I think that, they may win it outright. You're right.
El Gato, you mentioned about Herbert and not really playing last weekend. But I attribute that to the Texans defense. Man, Texans defense were on fire. So I hope that they play the same way this coming week against the Chiefs. Hey, also, I saw a stat where Kansas City, when they're favored by 6 or more points, they are 0-6.
Ooh,
Yeah.
love it.
Go
Yeah,
Texans.
against the spread. All right, the second game is going to be Lions -10 versus the Commanders. This is the second game on Saturday. Now, the Lions, I think, has been the best team in football this year. They have the number one scoring offense, and they are coming off a bye and are at home facing a rookie quarterback. I actually think the Lions win this game by 2 touchdowns, so I'm gonna go with the Lions -10. What are your thoughts on this game, Mr. Parlay?
24-degree weather, snow. It doesn't matter. It's a dome. So man, I tell you what, 2 scores. Daniels, the offense is clicking right now. Kingsbury's got that offensive coordinator position just in a great state right now. I think the Lions win, but I do think the Commanders cover.
What are your thoughts on this game, Rudy?
I also think that the Commanders can cover. 10 points is a lot. I know both teams are firing on all cylinders. I think the Commanders' defense is probably going to be their downfall in this game. I know the Lions' defense is also not that great anymore, but I mean they held a good Vikings team, or I guess not a good Vikings team in hindsight, but they held the Vikings to 9 points in Week 18. I think the Commanders definitely have a little bit better of an offense behind Jaden Daniels, but I don't think they can make enough defensive plays to beat the Lions, but I think they can make enough offensive plays to cover the spread.
What are your thoughts on this game, El Gato?
Oh man, this is a tough one with that line being at -10 for the Lions. You know, Washington coming off that really tough road win with a rookie quarterback. Are you kidding me? You know, they did what they had to do in the red zone. Remember, we spoke last week where Washington was having issues, you know, scoring touchdowns in the red zone and were settling for field goals. Well, against Tampa, they did what they had to do and a bunch, you know, offensively and executing in the red zone to score those touchdowns. You know, they really played well against Tampa. Now, Lions is a different beast, like you mentioned, Angela. Probably the best team in the NFL. You know, the Lions are going to do what they do as far as being physical with their run game, and they do have a serviceable defense. Now, with that said, you know, Washington can also play some defense when they want. I know you mentioned earlier, Angela, the over under is at 55 and a half. I think I'm going to go that route instead. It's a high over under. So I'm going to go with the under 55 and a half at the under, but it should be an exciting game. You know, I expect both teams to be competitive, and of course the Lions with their physical defense and offensive line to keep the Washington offense in check. But Washington will score a few points, I think.
Yeah, I know before in the past podcasts we've talked about rookie quarterbacks, where big games, it's just too much for them. But I'm just wondering if this game might be too big for him.
You don't know about that. He's so composed, but the pressure can get on a rookie quarterback. You're right, but if Washington beats the Lions, I wouldn't be surprised either. I really wouldn't. You know, as competitive as Washington can play when they want to, they have the wide receivers to stretch the field. They have a decent running game. They have a big offensive line, and of course Daniels being the X factor on the run pass option. You know, when he gets out of the pocket, I mean, what are the Lions defensive backs and linebackers going to do? Are they gonna fade back to cover, or are they going to come up to stop the run? And that's when he really gets dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Hey, the third game on Sunday is going to be Eagles -6 versus the Rams. Now, I'm going to go with the under 44. Both defenses have been playing lights out. The forecast shows an 80% chance of snow, and both of these they're run first offenses. So I think that's going to affect the scoring abilities. I don't think this will be a blowout, which should keep the passing game to a minimum. So on this game, I'm going with under 44. What are your thoughts on this game, Rudy?
I like the Rams a lot, actually. The Eagles last week, the score looks a lot better than how they played, I feel. They needed a +4 turnover differential to win by 12 points. Saquon Barkley looks amazing. It's unfortunate that he didn't get the chance to break the record. Jalen Hurts has kind of looked a little shoddy since coming back from the concussion protocol. I think Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay combined are super, super scary, especially in the playoffs, especially when the team's healthy and the team's healthy again. Cooper Kupp, Puka, Kyron Williams in the backfield. The tight ends are good. I don't know if Tyler Higbee's playing or not. I got hurt last game, but I mean they blew the brakes off the Vikings. They're not playing for themselves anymore. They're also playing for the LA fan base now too. As soon as they came out last week with the LAFD gear on, I was like, oh yeah, they're not losing this game.
Oh yeah.
I think they're carrying that into this game too.
Yeah, a lot of emotion in that game. What are your thoughts on this game, Mr. Parlay?
Gosh, you guys make both great comments on the under and the Rams. I'd have to say I'd go two-team parlay on the under and the Rams on this one after hearing you guys break it down. I know the Rams just took out the Vikings, and the weather out there is supposed to be pretty cold. In fact, it's really interesting. All these games are playing in cold weather, except for Detroit being in the dome. But man, great comments. I think I'd lean towards the Rams on this one.
What are your thoughts on this game, El Gato?
Yeah, Rudy makes some good points as far as the Rams offensively. I mean, if they're clicking and Stafford is hitting his passes like he did against the Vikings, I mean, the Vikings had no solution for the Rams passing game in that first half and maybe even going into the second half. The Rams O-line can keep Stafford clean where he has time to, maybe get at least to his second read. I think the Rams can do well, but not so fast, my friend. The Eagles have Barkley, running left, running right, running down the middle, and two dynamic wide receivers and a great tight end, not to mention the Eagles with the very stout defense. I'm expecting a very competitive game here, a close game. I think the Eagles do cover the -6. I think it's a touchdown game, 7, 9 point game, something like that, 20-10 game. I'm hoping. I think the Eagles can pull it off with that with the win at home and also covering.
Yeah, the Rams finished the season pretty strong. I think they've won 5 in a row, and I know at the beginning of the season, we're kind of thinking, "What's going on with the Rams?" But I know they had a lot of injuries, but those players have come back, and now they are really looking really good. So, yeah, that's why I went with the under. I'm torn on this game. I want the Eagles to win. I don't care if they cover or not. So the fourth game is going to be the matchup of the week. It is like a heavyweight matchup. It's the Bills getting one. Surprisingly, they're at home. They're getting one versus the Ravens. Both quarterbacks are trying to get to their first Super Bowl. The game temperature that day is going to be 8 degrees. What are your thoughts on this game, Rudy?
I definitely like the Bills in this one too. 9-0 at home this season. I know they got bounced big time in their first matchup of the season. I think the Ravens won 35-10. I think that was week 4 though. A lot's happened since then. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry together look scary. The Ravens defense has definitely started to play a little bit better, but I think this Bills team is the best Bills team that we've seen since Josh Allen got there. I know a lot of people wrote him not necessarily wrote him off to begin the season, but a lot of people expected them to take a step back after they lost Stephon Diggs, lost a lot of defensive starters. I think the Amari Cooper addition in the middle of the season was huge for them. They haven't been able to use him as much because he's been hurt. I think he's been trying to get acquired to the offense, but I think this Bills team is not the team of fate, but I mean they look really, really good. Josh Allen, I don't know if he's going to win MVP anymore. I think Lamar Jackson is heavily favored to win his third MVP, but I think the Bills got this one.
What are your thoughts on this game, El Gato?
I'm going to go with the under 51.5. It's going to be a tough physical game, just like you mentioned, Angela, earlier, a heavyweight match. I think both teams are going to concentrate on, trying to establish the run game. Ravens, of course, have Derrick Henry, sweep right, sweep left, up the middle. Obviously, the Bills defense, and they've got two linebackers back healthy now that I believe didn't play for a stretch of about 4 or 5 games mid-season or late season. So they're back and healthy. I think that's going to be, I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said already by, the sports guys on the big TV stations, but, the key to the game, if you can stop Derrick Henry from those explosive runs, and those, 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 4 conversions to extend drives, I think the Bills can come out with a win here. But to my point on the under, with the weather, with the run game going run heavy, I think both sides going to limit possessions. Especially if any one team gets a sustained drive going and only have to settle for a field goal. That's what I'm counting on. That's how I see the game playing out. I think both teams do score in the 20s, but it'll be below the 51 and a half. Bills, to Rudy's point, have been playing some great football. Josh Allen, of course, been playing lights out, even with losing some star receiver from last year and Stephon Diggs. But he's played really well. Contender for MVP. We'll see how it turns out. The Ravens may be without a starting wide receiver in Flowers. Still questionable, I believe, what I last read. So that's going to limit stretching out the field for the Ravens on the deep pass or deep up the middle. So looking for a really tough AFC East, AFC North type of football game in cold weather in mid-January. What else do we expect, right?
It's playoff football.
Playoff football, you're right.
What are your thoughts on this game, Mr. Parlay?
I'm going to lean on Baltimore a little bit on this one. I think I like the Jackson-Henry duo. There are components that always get me concerned, and you touched on them, probably the most important one. 8 degrees doesn't take much to bend a finger or, twist something here or there and get popped. So if you notice the last game, Lamar Jackson's right away covered up. He's wearing another layer of thermal, and he gets covered up real quick, even after the game, because he's so cold, even from last week's game, and it wasn't even close to 8 degrees. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm going to stick with Baltimore on this one and hope the Jackson-Henry duo come through.
All right, guys. Hey, we're at that point. Oh, my God. I love it. Oh, my God.
All I know is get ready for the Cowboys next year.
Is it going to be prime time?
It ain't going to be.
Heard that already. 28 years. What's going to happen different?
It ain't going to be prime time. Ellen Moore's coming back. It's like Rudy reminded me, you got to remember Jerry Jones. Does he really want a Super Bowl, or does he like being a billionaire?
Yeah.
Because winning a Super Bowl ain't going to make you a billionaire, but showing, maybe he does bring Dion, because you bring Dion and Shador to Dallas, box office, like Rudy says.
But you know what? I don't know if y'all have seen the new series Landman with Billy Bob Thornton. Jerry Jones can act. He's on that show in one of the episodes, right? Like episode 4.
I saw that little trailer. I ain't gonna lie. I almost teared up. It's kind of emotional because it seemed like he was speaking from personal experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I hate the dude as a team builder on the football side, but I guess he's a decent guy off the field, right? But yeah, that scene was pretty powerful.
Jeff said, because I was saying about him being a good actor, he's like, yeah, he's a good actor. He's acting like he can run a football team.
He's acting like he's been the coach for the last 25 years.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right.
Let's talk about this big game. I think there's a big game coming on Monday. What are your thoughts on this game coming up?
Ohio State, Notre Dame, big names, blue bloods in college football. Both teams had some struggles throughout the year. Notre Dame losing an unexpected game against Northern Illinois mid-season, or kind of the first half of the season. And of course, Ohio State losing to Michigan. That may have been a blessing that they lost to Michigan, because after that, they've been on fire. They've been playing physical football, both on the O-line and D-line, and to include the secondary also. Quarterbacks executing. Ohio State's a tough matchup because they can do a lot well. They can execute offensively. They've got, I don't know, about 3 NFL type receivers, dynamic running back, solid defense. Notre Dame, Ohio State didn't have to deal with a mobile quarterback against Texas. Ewers, he's not mobile. When the pocket got busy and sticky, of course he panicked, couldn't do much. Notre Dame, on the other hand, has a quarterback much taller, more athletic, can see over those Ohio State defensive linemen and can get outside the pocket as well. He can also get those 2 or 3 yard tough runs to extend drives. I'm going to pick an upset here. I'm going to go with Notre Dame squeaking out a victory. I don't know how they're going to do it, but somehow I think they've got the athletes and the speed to match up really well with Ohio State. That's my prediction, and I'm going to stick with it.
And what do you guys think, Mr. Parlay and Rudy?
Oh man, I asked Rudy, hey, how has that spread done? It's right now at Ohio State favored 8.5. Man, that's a lot. I think if you reflect back to there's one thing that Coach Freeman does very well. He brings the team together when he goes into halftime. I don't know how he does it, but when he talks to them at halftime, his emotion, I don't know if you ever seen the clips, some of them. One of his key things is all I want you to do is elevate. Elevate. And it's about staying patient and trust the process. Just stay patient and trust the process. We're not getting blown out. We're scored down, but we're not getting blown out.
Yeah.
Keep playing, right?
Oh man, it's just good stuff. One thing I think Lou Holtz said was Ohio State ain't Notre Dame. Notre Dame's Notre Dame. So it's like, God almighty, man, how I gotta go. I mean, I had a pre fun wager with Notre Dame early. So I'm all Notre Dame, money line and all. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm with y'all there. I'm rooting for Notre Dame. I want Notre Dame to win. I want to see Coach Freeman on the TV a lot. But on a serious level, the quarterbacks, Notre Dame's quarterback Leonard,
Yeah.
he likes to run. I think he can run better than Will Howard, Ohio State's quarterback. But I think Ohio State's quarterback, he can throw the ball better. So in that regard, they're pretty even. I know Ohio State their team, the overall team looks better, but I think Notre Dame can do it. There are going to be a lot of people out there lighting some candles.
Yeah, you got that right.
For sure.
For sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm going for Notre Dame. What's that, Rudy?
Yeah, I think Ohio State's a super, super talented team. It's funny that it's like a 7-8 matchup as far as like the CFP
the
rankings
CFP.
go. Quinn Ewers got Ohio State a playoff win, like he set out to do initially when he went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Hey, but I think I've seen a lot of like Quinn Ewers like slander, and I think Quinn Ewers actually did real good when he was at Texas, and I think a lot of the UT fans don't appreciate him enough. But it's Arch Manning time there in Texas. But I think this game is going to be real close from start to finish. Notre Dame looks really good, but Ohio State's really talented. So
Yeah.
It all comes down to execution, third down conversions, and of course, staying away from the turnovers. The team that can do those things,
penalties.
the untimely penalties, and we'll see how it turns out. But the team that can convert on third down and extend those drives, especially on the Notre Dame side, if they can keep Ohio State's offense off the field, they've got a chance. They've got a chance to win it, and maybe obviously cover it and an outright win. But in the championship game, I'm going to go with Notre Dame on this one. Big upset win. If they can execute, that's going to be the key. Only if they can execute.
Ohio State really wasn't covering against Texas either in their game. I mean, they were favored by 5.5, and Texas was first, second, and third and fourth in goal. So I mean, Ohio State wasn't really covering against Texas either.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yep. We will see. All right, guys. Well, if you've made it to this point in our podcast, we just want to thank you. Hit the subscribe and like button on our YouTube channel. You can also find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Hey, thanks to Rudy and Mr. Parlay for joining us today.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Make sure
love that hat.
Love the hat. Love the hat. Make sure to join us next week. And as always, thank you to El Gato for being part of 5 Picks and a Chick. 1, 2, 3. Bet.
All right.
And that's right.